This episode of Building You is brought to you by Promo Corner. Want to support a sales campaign and reach a larger audience? Raise your brand awareness with content sponsorships. For more information, reach out to sales@promocorner.com.
I'm so excited to be here today on our monthly program of Building You. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Kat, and Building You is a platform. It's a program that we have that is designed to build us. We do everything from the personal to the professional. We try to transcend everything because it's very important. I'm sorry, I'm just going to take my ear out so I can hear myself. It's very important that we recognize that there is no business person and then personal person. Everything transcends. As Brandon said, last month we started a multi-series program, and everything that we learn, everything that we know comes from somewhere. We've learned it along the way. Either it was in school or through a friend or through a personal development where we listen to podcasts, we listen to Building You, we listen to different pieces of information, or we read. Everything that I share, obviously, I've learned from somewhere. And this series that I'm working on right now is very heavily focused on the power of moments. And the power of moments is from Chip and Dan Heath. I try to develop myself on a daily basis. Most of the information that I gather is for me, so I can be a better individual for the people around me and for the businesses that I support. However, there comes times when I hear information or read information that I think it's really important to share with other people. So some of this information comes from that book. I'm going to certainly focus on other pieces of inspiration that I've touched and that have touched me so that we can hopefully put it all together and come out better and stronger. Creating moments of elevation. Last week, we started on the power of moments. And I want to do a very, very quick review of what that was, because this is going to be a multi-month series, because this is huge. One of the things that we talked about last month was what your legacy is. And what we learned was that what we leave behind after we're gone has nothing to do with stuff. It has to do with the memories that we leave the people that we've touched, the experiences that we've shared, and that is everything. That is who you are and how you are remembered. So if we think about what a legacy is strictly a string of moments put together to create an experience. And it's those experiences that we're focusing on, those powerful moments in our lives, that we want to learn as individuals how to incorporate more of those moments and how to make those moments even better than they already are. We learned that there are important parts to create a powerful moment. And there's three parts. There's a peak, so something super awesome. There's a pit, something really not so good. And then there's a transition. It's the beginning or the end of something. It's those three segments of life that impact us the most. And those impactful moments are what gets locked away in our brain. We also learned that there are 4 elements that create a defining moment. The thing about a defining moment is that you don't need all 4 of these elements. You only need one in order for it to be special in some way and to have a lasting memory. The first one is elevation. The second one is insight. The third one is pride. And the fourth one is connection. Today, we're going to be focusing on elevation. And then our homework, if you are a regular to Building You, thank you so much. If you're watching on a replay, that's awesome. I hope that you join us on a monthly basis, but we do give homework every month so that, of course, Building You is great to learn information, but if we're not putting this information into practice, it's not going to help us grow as individuals. So our homework was to, in the last month, try to focus on recognizing these moments. We call it moment spotting. And these potentially memorable moments either could be something that happened to you, so it was a peak, a pit, or a transition, or it was about recognizing an opportunity to make a moment more impactful for somebody else. So I would love, if you are part of our regular program, to just drop in the chat. Did you actually do this homework? Did you take the moments in your time in the last month to try to pay attention to an opportunity to make a moment even better, or to just recognize, oh, that could have been a moment that I could have improved upon? So thank you for your contribution if you drop a message. Okay, so getting right into today's program, elevation. How is elevation created? How do we start to incorporate this into our lives, or how do we at least recognize it? Well, organically, there are 3 ways that elevation happens in our life. The first way is the transitions or events, if you will, okay? And we talked about peaks, pits, and transitions. So a transitional event can be a birthday party. It's kind of coming into that next year of your life. It's a rebirth, if you will, every single year. It could be a wedding. That's certainly something new. That's a transition into something new and exciting. So you're going to remember that. Even a retirement, if you have a retirement party or starting a new job, those are huge parts of your life that are transitional, and it's a big event. So the first way that we create an elevated moment is recognize that it's a transitional point in our life. The second organic way of elevation is being on stage. Now, that can be quite literally. What I want you to think about is, if you are in a situation where you are absorbed in that moment. Now, being on stage, literally like in a play or a presentation, even this, I have to focus. I had to study. This is something that you are completely absorbed in that moment. So doing something where you are totally focused is a being on stage moment, even a sporting event. If you think about going to practice every day you're going to practice, you're doing the same thing. It's kind of boring. It's kind of, okay, we have to do this. Your game is your wow moment. That's your on stage. This is where all that hard work is going to pay off. And that's your moment of elevation. So it's really about focus and being there now. And then the third organic way that we have elevation in our life is spontaneously. Now, I want to take you back. Have you ever had a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or even the person that you're married to, and had that first touch, the first time they held your hand, or the first kiss? Like, it's spontaneous and it's unexpected. It changes everything. Like, just that moment. Have you ever played hooky from school or work? That's unexpected. So something as simple as that, something completely spontaneous happening in your life, can create a moment of elevation. So these are the organic ways that we create these memorable or powerful moments that we remember forever and ever. And the question is, can we create more of them? Can we make this something that's engineered? Can we take our peak moments and actually make them peakier? The answer is yes. The way that we do this, the very first thing that I think starts any positive movement in your life, is awareness. So you guys are here today, you're learning about the power moments, you're learning the fact that we can make even more powerful moments in our lives simply by being aware. And it is simple to conceive. The problem is, creating these moments, engineering these moments, is actually harder to execute than you'd think. The reason that they're so hard to execute is because there's nobody that's responsible for them, meaning it's nobody's job. As I said earlier, my company, Moso Method, buildingU, which is our program here, everything that we do is transcendent between personal and professional. I want to start with the professional. I want to start with business. What is the responsibility or the expectation when people are working? It's pretty kind of simple and a little bit sad, because if you really think about what the expectation is, it's about creating an expected experience, creating a status quo for everybody. Most business experiences are forgettable, they say. But every once in a while, you have the occasionally remarkable experience. Now, I want to talk about what forgettable means. most business experiences, we want to be forgettable. I want you to think about if you go into the garage to get an oil change, for example. There's a routine, there's a system in place. You go in, you leave your car, you go sit in the waiting room for 20 minutes, you get your car and you leave. If it's not forgettable, that might mean that they found something wrong with your car, right? We don't want that. We want expected situations. We want them mostly to be forgettable. What if you are working with your bank? You go into your bank, you do a transaction and you leave. It's that simple. But if it's something that's like wrong with your account, like maybe money is missing, that's not good. We want that experience to be forgettable. So if we think about business as a road, when we're driving down the road, sometimes you hit those roads that need some work, right? They make a noise, or they make even like a little thump. There's not a hole in the road, but they're not super smooth. Our job as business people is to create a smooth road, to get rid of those pits that are created on the road. That is what the expectation is. That's what our job is. Once in a while, though, we see potholes in the road. So if we think about filling the basic needs of our client, we know that this whole program, what we're talking about today, is elevation, creating peakier peaks. We cannot create a peak if the road isn't already smooth. If we don't fulfill the basic needs of our clients, we cannot create an occasionally exceptional experience. The problem is this: the job is to make the road smooth. What happens is that those potholes are, all of a sudden, we don't recognize that they're there. They kind of surprise us. So what happens is that we switch completely into fix the complaint, right? We want to complaint management our clients because we need them to be happy. They need to have smooth sailing. So if we're working all the time on a smooth road and then we have to fill these potholes, all of our time is taken up unless we make it a priority to look for the occasionally extraordinary. Instead of playing defense by having to fill those potholes all the time, we can allocate special resources, times, mind power simply to create these really nice situations. So I'm just checking my notes because, of course, everything that I learn and I write notes to make you kind of learn just the footnotes of it. But I want to make sure that we are covering everything, and we want to make sure that we are filling the needs of our clients. So for example, if you check into a hotel, I made a little note here. The basic needs are a fairly quick check-in, right? A clean room and a comfortable bed. That's it. That's your smooth sailing. Now, if the hot water isn't working, that's a pothole. They have to fix that. But in order to make an occasionally extraordinary experience, they need to go be above and beyond what the basic needs are. Now, I want to take a moment and switch gears over to the personal. Like I said, this is our business. Make sure the pits are smooth, fill the potholes, and then look for that opportunity. If you are a human and you have relationships with anybody, what I'm going to share with you right now, I think, is huge. So stop. This is a moment you have to pay attention. You might want to take notes. If you have never read the book, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, I highly, highly recommend it. I'm going to give you a very small breakdown of what this is. Same idea with the personal as with the professional. First, we have to have smooth sailing. Even in our personal relationships, we cannot create peaks if we don't have the basic needs met. Have you ever been in a relationship where you think you give everything that you have? I mean, you are giving all your love. You are putting out all your energy, and the person that you're with still doesn't appreciate what you do. They don't seem to recognize that you love them and you're doing everything for them. Maybe you are feeling like your partner is not giving you the love that you deserve. So this is what this is. This is broken down. What Gary Chapman talks about is that we are all raised a certain way. What we know is what we know, right? We don't know what we don't know. And I always say there should be a country song that sings out. We don't know what we don't know. And this is true. So if you were brought up a certain way and you subconsciously learn how to love based on how love was given to you, that's what you know. That's how you believe, your perception of how love should be given and received. With the book, The 5 Love Languages, it explains that there are 5 ways to express love. Everybody has all 5 of these in their repertoire of love, right? But what happens is that we speak a primary language and a secondary language the most. The trick, the purpose of the book is to read it with your partner and to recognize what their love language is, because the old expression is do unto others as you want done to you. But that's not true. Do unto others as they want done to them. So I'm just going to break down the 5 love languages. The first one is words of affirmation. So this is giving somebody an attaboy. This works at work. This works at home. I know that I am a words of affirmation love language person. It's actually my second love language, because when I do things for people, I want them to recognize it. I want some validation that they are aware of what I'm doing for them. So words of affirmation are either you telling somebody how great they are, supporting them verbally in every way, and of course, receiving that back the same way. The second love language is receiving or giving of gifts. Maybe you had parents that every time they wanted to show their love for you, they gave you a gift. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with this. And maybe you give gifts all the time to the people that you care about, but they don't feel like you love them because you're not giving them words of affirmation. See where I'm going with this? So if gift giving is your language, that means that when you receive a gift, you feel truly loved, or when you really have affection for somebody, you're going to pick something up and bring them a little gift. The third is quality time. Now, quality time is simply just hanging out with somebody. That's it. Go take a walk. Go sit on the couch and do nothing. Just spending that good quality one-on-one time with each other. The fourth language is acts of service. This is my number 1 love language. So acts of service is when you do things for other people. Maybe your significant other works a long day and you drop them off lunch at their work. Maybe you keep the house clean. Maybe you go out and you mow the lawn when it's not your day. And if people do this for you and you have so much appreciation for it, your love language is acts of service. And then the last love language is physical touch. Now, this is not sexual. This is just simply when you're walking by and somebody strokes your shoulder or you hold hands, you just like to be up close and next to somebody playing with your hair. Physical touch is the 5th and final love language. So, oops, sorry, I just pulled on my cord. So this is the basic needs. In my opinion, this book was actually given to me by my ex-mother-in-law during a bad time in my first marriage, and I found it invaluable. I have used it with every relationship that I have. It works both professionally and personally, because when you can understand somebody else's needs, you're much more capable of fulfilling those needs. And if you have a good partner and you guys do this together, then what you need is going to be fulfilled more. You will truly feel love, as opposed to not being able to understand their language, even though they think that they're giving you everything that they have because they're just speaking a different language. So, okay, now that we've learned how to create that status quo, just checking my time, to create the status quo, to build those basic needs, we're still going to have problems, right? We're still going to find things pop up. We're too going to have these potholes. But when we're not so focused on just the everyday and a pothole pops up once in a while, we can manage that more effectively and then focus on building peakier peaks. Okay, so then now the question is, how do we build moments of elevation? The first way that we can build a moment of elevation is by boosting sensory appeal. I actually, years ago, I went into a Sheraton hotel and it smelled, oh my God, it smelled like the holidays. And I actually found out afterwards that they piped through the whole hotel a cinnamon apple fragrance. It's a sensory appeal. And that's taking that basic need and popping it up one more level for that occasionally extraordinary. Because now, every time I think about a Sheraton, I don't even know if Sheraton's still around, but when I think about that hotel, oh, I think about that warm, cozy feeling. So boost sensory appeal. Number 2, raise the stakes. We talked about moments of elevation being sporting events, right? Listen, when you have that, you're going to win or lose put up against you, you're going to remember it because you want to win. You're going to fight to the finish. And then the third way to create bigger moments of elevation is by breaking the script. Now, we all have scripts. We deal with scripts every day, every moment, with everything that we do. I went to the grocery market this morning. The script at the grocery market is I get my cart, I walk in, I go up and down the aisles, I either do self-checkout or I check out, groceries get bagged, I go out to my car. That's it, right? That's the script of going to the grocery market. You have a script of, going to the drive-thru at the bank. You pull up, you put your little stuff in the little thing, it goes through, it comes back, you get it. This is regular, normal, everyday scripts. Now, when I go to the grocery market, if on one random day they were giving out free samples, now I know you can go to BJ's or Sam's and get them, but the regular grocery market we're talking about, I'd be like, oh my God, that's totally awesome, right? Because who doesn't love free samples? I mean, not right now, but this is going to break the script. And a script is basically just the everyday that we expect. It's when we break the script, it's defying people's expectation of how the experience will unfold. I do not expect free samples. All of a sudden, I have free samples. I'm psyched. I'm going to look for them and maybe go to that market more often, hoping once in a while I'll see that. Now, the trick to breaking the script, however, is to break it often enough that it's exciting and it's memorable and it matters to somebody, but not breaking it so often that it becomes an expectation. So when I go to BJ's, for example, I want to eat my lunch, right? I want to go up and down those aisles and I want to get those free samples and I want to taste everything. It's expected now. So there's a very fine line between that wow factor, that element of surprise, versus that all the time and then people don't appreciate it. I want to move on to say that there was a study done, and when people were asked to share their 10 most memorable events of their life, 6 out of those 10 were between the ages of 15 and 30. So that's a good percentage. 6 out of 10 of the most memorable events of their lives were between the ages of 15 and 30. Now, if you live a normal lifespan, that's not even 20% as far as time of your life. And that's when your most memorable moments are. Well, psychologists call this the reminiscence bump. This is a reminiscence bump in our life. And this is when our most vivid memories are created because they're mostly the first times. Now, what they say is that as humans, we get bored, right? We go through every day and everything's the same thing. But during those years, we have our first kiss, maybe. We maybe get married. We have children. We have our first job. We move out of the house for the first time. So we learn to really make our own decisions and be on our own. These are things that we drive for the first time. So these things that change us out of the everyday normal humdrum of our lives, they excite us because there's a novelty, there's a surprise element. And this is something that helps us to fold our brain and lock that memory in. So if you are mature like me, you might think, oh my God, the older I get, the faster time goes. But the truth is, they say that these moments, they call it the oddball effect, when something, different pops up, and that's what we remember, this oddball effect. We have less of these in our lives, so we just become the hamster wheel just keeps spinning, so it seems to go faster. But when we have a novelty, when there's something new in our lives, when we have this oddball effect happening, it slows down time. So if you don't want time to go too fast for you, start to incorporate this element of surprise, these powerful moments, these moments of elevation that we can engineer. We just have to make it our job. They say that people are most comfortable when things are certain, but they're more alive when things are not. And we've heard the expression, variety is the spice of life. They say it's not a meal, it's not the entree, it's just once in a while. So you want to spice up your life. So I want to go through a quick review of what we learned today to not go over time. We talked about moment spotting. That was the homework of last month. If you were not with us last month, please try to recognize it. Recognize your peaks, your pits, and transitions, and try to take an opportunity to make the peaks peakier in those moments for people. We learned that pits and potholes have to be filled before we can reach for a high peak. Mostly in the business world and even life, things are forgettable, and that's okay. As long as you focus on finding the time for the occasionally exceptional, let it be your job. The reason it's forgotten is because people don't take the responsibility. We are aware now. Let's make our lives even better and make the lives of those around us even better. The 5 love languages, definitely check this out. Quality time, words of affirmation, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. Figure out what your love language is. Figure out what your partner's love language is and start speaking to them in the way that they know that you love them. Today's focus was breaking the script. We want to not do what's expected, but do something outside of the ordinary so that we can create more oddball effects in our lives. We want to spice up our lives. We want to not just make everything happen back in our reminiscent bump. Let's make this a new reminiscent bump. I can't talk today. So that we can have better, longer lasting memories that are going to be part of our legacy. So as you guessed, of course, there's homework this week. And I think that this is my favorite kind of homework. I'm sorry, this month. What I want you to do is do a script surprise. I want you to disrupt your script in some way, whether it be on a Saturday, you just change everything that you normally do with your loved ones. It could be on a weekday afternoon. Instead of cooking dinner and going to bed, make do toasted marshmallows over the stove and sit and watch a movie, have a picnic in the living room, go take a walk and maybe make some fried dough, something crazy and outside of the ordinary so that it's fun for the people around you. Break your script, have a script surprise any day. And I would love if during this month you're breaking your script, if you found that it was awesome, even if you didn't, put it in the comments. Come back to this video so that you can tell us what you're doing and how it was received from the people around you.